I would certainly encourage anyone working with gCADPlus or any AutoCAD-like CAD system to experiment with drawing polylines and using them. Here's what's called an open polyline. Let me draw polyline and draw one of approximate that shape. And I come to this point, and if I right click, I have a number of choices. I can simply enter or hit the enter key or select that one, or I can close it and fill it and turn a segment of the polyline into an arc and so on. So there's a lot you can do at this point, but let's just enter it. When I enter it, the click points or vertices are shown here, and they're numbered 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But if I, having selected it, come to the properties box here and say, I'd like that polyline to be closed, now we get what we see over here. So a new line is formed joining for vertex 5 to vertex 1. So we get a completely closed shape. Incidentally, I've just put a point marker at the vertex or vertices of these polylines just to illustrate where they are located. So we now have a closed polyline. If we now select the entity over here, once we've done, we have a choice of changing color. I've changed to red. I can change the line weight. I can change the type of line type pattern quite easily just by interacting with the properties box on the left-hand side. So if I want line type, I've got a choice of many different line types and line thickness. I've now got a closed polyline, but once I get to that point, I can put curve fitting on. So I've selected it here, and I've got more than one entity selected. I've got a quadratic B-spline curve. I could use a cubic one. These choices just change the shape of it slightly, but I can change its border color as I have done to green. I can change the transparency. It's set at 100. What that means is that as I move that closed polyline over here, can you see I can see through it because it's set to 100. So I remind you that we're doing all this with a single entity. I can also apply filling and transparency, and I can use a point gradient. So I've got a linear gradient now, but if I do the point gradient, I'm sure you can see the effect. And I just remind you that this is one single entity. It doesn't take up any room at all in the plant database. In the drawing database, and so it's not going to overwhelm you when you use symbols made with polylines or shapes. So it's great for lawns, for closing complex areas and applying a fill, and can sometimes relieve you of the job of adding hatch patterns to areas. So I hope that encourages you to experiment with some of these techniques